Hey, how's it going? My name's Mike Trout, and I own Joint Venture Studios, which is just north of Atlanta. I've had a couple people ask me what the different parts of the studio are and why I built it the way I did. So I figured I'd just answer those questions in a short video here. So what I'm standing in now is called the sound lock. Basically what the sound lock does is it separates what goes on the inside from the outside, and also separates the rooms of the studio so that I'm not having bleed in between sources if I'm recording in different rooms. So sound lock. This right here is the door to the studio. That is the live room, and this is the control room. So we'll walk in the control room here, and as you can see, the reason why we call it a control room is because this is where all the magic happens. This is where the recording actually takes place, and this is what makes you sound good. And so the cool thing about this setup is the fact that I can have sources recording in the live room, and I'm actually separated from that in here monitoring through my monitors. So I get a live time feed on what's going on. And any move I make on any of this gear, I can hear it. And so it just helps me make better sound decisions when it comes to tracking and mixing. So another thing that makes it a studio are these wall plates, and people have asked me about them. They don't really know what they are. So I have these in every room. This one's kind of covered up right now. And basically what these do is they tie all the rooms together. So if I want to control an amp head from the control room and have the amp in the live room, I can. If I want to have the head of the amp in the control room for me to record, a guitar player in the live room, and their cabinet in the ISO booth, which we'll talk about here in just a second, I can do that as well. Pardon the mess, we're still getting set up here. There's still a couple things that we have to do to make everything functional, but we're really close. Ben from Trace Audio in LA is actually taking care of my patch bays for me. So I'm going to be running an Elko system. Those of you that understand patch bays and Elko and how things get hooked up will appreciate that. It's going to be pretty nice. Right now I'm running DB25, so I think this is going to be a lot better. And again, shout out to Ben. He's done an excellent job. So basically, the isolation booth, which is right here, we have a smaller one. And as you can see here, speaker live room, speaker control room, and then I have some inputs and outputs. So I can have a bass player in the live room tracking with some drums at the same time. If I don't want the bass guitar amp to bleed into those drum mics, I can run his amp into the ISO booth and have him in there, and they're going to be monitoring through headphones. So it works really well. So we'll walk over here into the live room. So here's the live room, and as I said, we're still getting set up. And this is the live room wall plate. And as you can see, there's those speaker control room 1, speaker control room 2, and speaker ISO. I've got a bunch of inputs and outputs and auxiliaries. So basically, I can separate the sources, and that's what makes a studio a studio. Now, there are a lot of people that work in single rooms, big rooms, small rooms, and you can still make some awesome recordings that way. I'm just fortunate enough to get to a point that I could build a studio just the way I wanted to build it. Another cool thing that people have asked me about is my studio window. And how this works is space. So you can see I've got 2 windows there, but there's space in between. A lot of people will angle the glass just to help with some of the glare. I didn't want to go through all that, but we do have about maybe 10, 11 inches of space in between. So what happens is the sound hits the glass, and what sound that passes through, theoretically, bounces back and forth inside those 2 reflective surfaces. So what you get on the other side is minimal. And it's worked out really well. My contractor did an excellent job helping me come up with this design. And I'm very pleased with the way it's working. So as you can see too in here, one thing I don't have are acoustic panels. I do, but they're foam. And you can see foam. Not one of my favorite things to use. But it's what I had from my previous studio, and so I'm just making do right now until I get better acoustic panels in here. And then once we get the drums in here, there's a couple things we still got to do, get our patch bays, but we're really close, and I'm really happy at the way it turned out. My contractor, Lucas Hall, if you're in the Atlanta area, does fantastic work. So that's it. I hope I answered a couple questions that some of you guys had, and if you're a musician, songwriter, and you want to make a record, let's make some music.